We recently talked to Jacq MacDonald-Fawcett about her new business designed to help home educators step forward education. But we wanted to know more, so here she is again, giving more details about how home education works. Home education is something that I know about, but I don't know anything about how it works at all. So if you are a parent, what are the kind of things that would make you want to home educate? Or more to the point, what would make you want to take your child out of the formal education system that we have?
I think there's probably a multitude of reasons why people remove their children from school. Sometimes it's to do with the options that are available. Sometimes it's to do with the waiting list to get into preferred schools. And sadly, sometimes it's because children are being bullied. That's just to name but a few. And I think really it comes down to weighing up which experience is going to give your child the best chance in life. And I think many people will try the mainstream system and they'll speak to schools, speak to teachers and try and get it just right in the hope that they can offer what that child needs. But sadly, sometimes you just can't, in this current climate, get it right. And as somebody who's worked in a school for many years and been a head of SEN, I know that there just isn't enough money in schools to provide the kind of support that some children need. So I knew from my point of view that we tried everything with the mainstream system and James was still unhappy. So I felt I owed it to him to give him the chance to try a different way, really. And the beauty of home education is that it is what you make it. You know, you can study whatever you choose to study, and you know, most children are happier and more successful learning about the things they're interested in, and many of them struggle with some of the areas of the curriculum that they just can't see are of any interest. James is a bright boy and he loves science and he loves maths, he loves history, and we've been able to sit down and put together our own programme of what he's going to learn about, and I have no doubt that he's going to be successful at it, because in his general demeanour he's so much happier than he was when he was at school.
When you're teaching, you've got a format for your teaching that means you deal with your core subject or your main subject, which is English.
Yep.
You've set up the business that you've set up to help with other topics like mathematics.
Yes.
What about kind of other general subjects? Because to do well in life, it seems at this time you need at least 4, 5, 6 subjects.
Yeah, most to get into A levels, if that's the path that you're going down, you need at least 5 GCSEs. For what we've chosen to do is to pick the subjects that James is interested in, and then you set about looking at what resources are available to help you to get to that end exam point. There are a multitude of resources that you can buy into, online programs, textbooks. Lots and lots of different resources. Science is something that I am looking to pursue because, again, like English and maths, it's a very specialist subject, and takes quite a lot of effort and logistics to get to a point where you can sit that exam. So I am hoping to be able to get a science specialist involved with Step Forward. And again, it's just so I can make sure that James gets what he needs. But yeah, everything else is out there, for you to grab, really. There's no better way of learning history than to visit a place where something happened to it. There's museums, free museums are all over the place. There lots of centres and places do home education entrance, special group rates and visits. So where in the beginning, when I was just considering home educating, I worried, will there be enough to fill his time? What you actually find is that there's far too much going on, and you sometimes have to miss out on things because you just can't physically do it all.
When people are thinking down this line, where do they go for help and advice to actually make their own decision? Because if you make that decision kind of out of the blue, as it were, without looking for external advice and information, you're likely to hit some bumpers at some point.
Yeah, that side of things is actually quite difficult, and I would like that to change. The schools aren't allowed to advise you to home educate. That's illegal for them to do that. But likewise, the local authority isn't really supposed to advise you. It's supposed to be impartial and just tell you what's available. So really, you have to rely on speaking to somebody else who is or has been home educating. And the good thing now is that there is a growing and thriving home education community, and you only need to go, I mean, I'm not a Facebook lover at all. I spent 15 years avoiding Facebook, but now, because since becoming a home educating parent, I've realised that that is the best way to communicate with other home educators, and they can give so much advice and signpost you to groups and sessions that are available. So really, I think that my best advice would be speak to somebody else who's home educating, and they will give you a fair understanding of what it's like. And it's not an easy option, don't get me wrong. It's really not. Even as a qualified teacher, I had to really think about whether I could provide James with what he needed. But a fellow home educating friend who had her child at home for a couple of years said to me, when I was doubting myself, when I was doubting whether I could do it, she said, you're not teaching him all the subjects, you're facilitating the learning of those subjects. And I think if you keep that at the forefront, that it's your job not to be the qualified teacher of all these subjects, but to facilitate a way for them to access that learning, then that's the best way to look at it.
Because the kids themselves want to learn anyway.
Absolutely, yeah.